Hi, and welcome back to Sense and Sensitivity. I'm so glad you're here to join me today, and I'm excited to start making some videos again. I have quite a few topics I want to address, but first we'll do some housekeeping. I've been away because I had my first baby, my son, about 6 weeks ago. So I've been pretty busy figuring out mom life. Um, so that's kind of what's going on there. And so that leads to the topic of today's video, which is pregnancy and rosacea. So really, I just want to talk about my experience a little bit because I was curious going into pregnancy how that might affect my skin. So I read a lot of blogs and Reddit forums, and I try to do some Googling on dermatologist recommendations of what may or may not happen during pregnancy, because we know our hormones change a bunch during pregnancy and they fluctuate in a variety of different ways. And I wondered if or how that would affect my skin. And it did, but nothing too crazy. So I just wanted to share my experience with you today. So the first thing is more of a lifestyle change that had to happen. So during pregnancy, especially as the baby gets bigger, you have to lay on your side. Well, if I haven't said this before, in my experience, one of the biggest lifestyle changes that helps with sensitive skin and rosacea is sleeping on your back so that your face isn't being irritated by any of the materials you sleep on. So unfortunately for me, I had to retrain myself to sleep on my side. And for a really long time, that meant every morning I was waking up with whichever side was on the pillow was a big red cheek. It did go away after about a half an hour, and I slept on a satin pillowcase, and I think that helped a little bit to keep it cool, and it's just a much silkier material. Of course, I think silk would work well too, but those pillowcases are quite expensive. So that was something, and over time, after several months of that, my skin sort of got used to it, and I stopped waking up with super red skin. But for the first few months, so middle of the second trimester, for a couple of those months when I was starting to have to sleep on my side, I was waking up with a big red cheek every morning. So for me, that was, if I had to be on Zoom for work or something like that, it was just knowing that in advance, so I made sure I had enough time for my skin to calm down. And that took about 30 minutes. The second thing that was the big thing for me was hot flashes. So during a lot of my pregnancy, I would get these hot flashes, and especially if I was in a work meeting where I had to present or something like that where I was a little bit nervous, my body would just go on fire and my face would just turn bright red. And it was a little bit embarrassing, definitely, but most of my coworkers by that time knew I was pregnant, and I had prefaced with, if you see me looking extra red, this is kind of why. It is what it is, and it would calm down. But yeah, especially my cheeks, and it would be this whole area and trickle down into this area. And it would last quite a while. So again, I just did the usual cool compress using my Aven or whatever mineral water sprays. After I was in the meeting, of course, or putting a cool towel on my neck during the meeting to just kind of help cool me down. That really, really helped. But yeah, it was just instantly, I would just flare up and be super red, a little bit puffy, but mostly just the redness and the heat. So that may or may not happen to you if you become pregnant. But I do think it's nice to hear from somebody about what could happen. I've read in forums and blogs of people either having the best skin of their life during pregnancy, and then afterwards, once they have the baby, their skin goes crazy and they start really breaking out. I've read the opposite, that their skin goes crazy during pregnancy and then calms down once they have the baby. And in those cases, a lot of what I read was, it sounded like more of the type 2 of rosacea where the bumps were happening. So that didn't really happen for me. For me, it was more the type 1 redness heat flare-ups. And I haven't gotten any hot flashes or anything like that really since having the baby. I did have night sweats for the first 2 weeks, but it didn't affect my skin. Other than that, I've been actually pleasantly surprised with how calm my skin has been throughout pregnancy and postpartum. As far as skincare goes, I've kept it really, really minimal. Based on research I've done, I also met with my dermatologist during pregnancy, really for my annual skin cancer check, but also just to discuss. So I stopped using a vitamin C serum, and I really just took it back to the basics of cleansing and moisturizing. So I think that helped. What I want to talk about also is how my skin has changed postpartum, which has really been affected by my routine and my lifestyle routine. So I actually think in a lot of ways my skin has improved and become more resilient postpartum. And I think a lot of that has to do with doing less. Since I'm staying at home for now, I'm on my maternity leave and I'm not getting a lot of sleep, and I'm very, very busy taking care of this little one. My skincare has really, I don't have a lot of time for skincare, as I'm sure any of you can imagine. So with that being said, I am doing the basics typically once per day, which is just cleanse, tone, and moisturize. But that's it. I'm not wearing any makeup, and I'm not wearing any sunscreen unless I know I'm going to be out for a really long time, which is almost never with the baby. I'm mostly in the house. So I've just stopped wearing sunscreen and given my skin a break. And I think it's helped me a ton. I'm not sure if it's just the reduction in the amount of products I'm putting on my skin, or if it's the fact that I'm not having to cleanse as thoroughly to remove those products at the end of the day. But I've noticed an increase in the moisturization of my skin, like the way it's retaining moisture. But I've also noticed a big decrease in my broken capillaries. And so that's something that's really interesting, because most of the time, doctors say, you need to get them lasered. But I have read from holistic practitioners that over time, with the right practices, a lot of the broken capillaries can sort of resolve or sort of become less superficial on their own. So this has been a really interesting experiment for me. Again, I'm not sure if it's less products or, just less touching and rubbing of my face every day or what, but this area in here where I have my broken capillaries, they have reduced a lot. So like one of them that's a big spot, I can really just see like a few lines of it now. So that's kind of cool. Now, these are specific recommendations. It's hard to think about how we would apply these to normal, not postpartum life situations, right? If you're going out every day and you need to wear sunscreen, or you're going to work or whatever and you don't feel comfortable without wearing makeup, then those tips might not work for you. But maybe you could experiment with, one day a week, if on the weekend you're going to be staying home, trying to give your skin a break. So like cleanse the Friday night really well, moisturize really well, and then give yourself a break the whole day Saturday. Don't touch your skin. I used to, even if I was staying in the house all day, do my whole routine in the morning and put sunscreen on. And I'm just not doing that anymore. And my skin seems to be liking it. So kind of recalibrating, reconsidering how I'm approaching skincare. I don't know how this will change as I adapt to going back out into the world more when he's older, with going back to work and things like that. I don't know. Will I want to put makeup on again? Will I, feel comfortable not wearing sunscreen if I'm going to be indoors at work all day? I haven't made any decisions and I'm not there yet. These are just my observations for this short period of time that I'm in right now. And I wanted to share that with you. So the last thing I'll touch on is just, actives during pregnancy. Of course, you have to be extra careful. Most of us with rosacea aren't using retinols anyway, but you definitely can't use those during pregnancy. Benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid for breakouts. you should not use during pregnancy, which again, most of us can't tolerate those ingredients. Vitamin C is fine, but my dermatologist had recommended I don't even use any actives at all. So I had stopped using that, and I'm not currently using a vitamin C. And I think it was more just because the skin can become more sensitive or sensitized during pregnancy. So again, that might be something that could have happened to me if I hadn't stopped using vitamin C, but since I did just go ahead and cut everything out and keep it really basic, I didn't have any extra sensitivities outside of the side sleeping irritation and the hot flashes. The last thing I'll say is postpartum, I'm noticing a lot more dryness. I am breastfeeding and trying my best to keep up on my water intake, but it's really difficult. And I'm just noticing a lot more dryness in my lips, in my hands, and in my skin. I also notice when I get a particularly poor night of sleep, my skin feels way more dry. So that's something to think about in preparation if you are going to be getting pregnant, is make sure you're stocking up on gentle cleansers and moisturizers, oils, hydrators, whatever combination it is that you like to keep your skin hydrated, because you might have to do extra. Like for example, right now I'm using a cream and an oil layered every time I do my skincare routine. And that's helping me a lot. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to be starting a whole new segment on natural skincare because I've had some interesting experiences with that and I haven't talked about it a lot. And then I was also thinking I could discuss sensitive skin for babies if anybody is interested in that. So I'll make a video about that in the coming months. But yeah, let me know your experience in the comments if you have been pregnant and how that affected your rosacea or your sensitive skin. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.